Okay, as you can see, we have Miley Cyrus and her tongue here. And, everybody's familiar with this. She had that coming out party we talked about with her tongue, which is just ridiculous, but that's the world we live in today. But pay attention to these two things on the top of her head. You know, people said, well, they're horns or whatever, and this and that, and here's another picture of her with the tongue out. I mean, just tongue out with these two horns. Now, when she started doing this, a lot of people said that she was depicting Kali, who is an Indian mystic goddess. Something about licking up all the souls, and I'm not sure, I can't remember the exact, story behind Kali. But everybody said she was Kali because she stuck the tongue out. And, I didn't really know, but recently, and especially with what happened here in Webster and with the Mormons and the Hill Cumorah, and a connection to Quetzalcoatl and the Temple of the Feathered Serpent through, Sandy Hook, and then into that ley line, that goes through Stonehenge and the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. I don't think it's Kali that she's representing. I think who she's representing is Quetzalcoatl. This Quetzalcoatl, like I said, was, worshipped at the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. There's Quetzalcoatl as the Feathered Serpent, and there's, whatever shield they want to call it, but that's Quetzalcoatl with the tongue out. And also pay attention to the two nubs on the top of his head. And I'm going to give you a better picture of that with a line drawing. Quetzalcoatl, tongue out, and the two nubs on the top of his head. See those two circles? And what do you got there? Tongue out and those two circles. So I'm thinking, and not only for that reason, but for other reasons, that she is depicting Quetzalcoatl. Give you a close-up of the shielded one, but you can see the two nubs and Quetzalcoatl, and the tongue is out, and I believe that that is who Miley Cyrus is depicting in this whole tongue thing. And, as usual, it means a lot more, than people think it means. And especially when you connect Quetzalcoatl to the Mormons. There's actually, there's Mormons that think Quetzalcoatl and Jesus are the one and the same. Here it is. Who was Quetzalcoatl? The story of Quetzalcoatl is very compelling, and many Latter-day Saints members have pointed to the legend of Quetzalcoatl as evidence to the authenticity of the Book of Mormon. Was Quetzalcoatl a resurrected Jesus? The crowning event in the Book of Mormon is the story of Jesus Christ himself as a resurrected being visiting the people on the American continent just after his crucifixion. Many Mormons believe that this event was the basis for Quetzalcoatl and other Native American pre-Columbian deities, but how does a flying snake relate to the same Jesus Christ that walked in Palestine? And then it goes on, if you want to look into this, I'm not going to read this all to you, but, this Bruce McConkie, writes in his Book of Mormon doctrine about Quetzalcoatl. So if you want to do some more reading about that, there you go. But, Quetzalcoatl, the Mormons, being resurrected. I mean, where? On Hill Cumorah? I mean, think about that. And now we're going to, talk a little bit more about Quetzalcoatl. Okay, we've tied Miley Cyrus to Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl to the Mormons, and of course the Mormons in Hill Cumorah. Now I'm going to tie Venus to Quetzalcoatl because Venus is important for what happened that morning in Webster, and tied to Tomaz and Mike for that matter, on that morning. And you can see Venus transit, which is the pentagram it forms in the sky. We talked about that. Quetzalcoatl in the 2012 prophecy. What is the meaning of Venus transit, and how does it relate to the return of the Mexican prophet Quetzalcoatl? And you know, I'm just wondering what it means to Webster. And not only that, but you know, if you think about this, if the Mormons and other people think Jesus and Quetzalcoatl are the same, and Quetzalcoatl came in 2012, and I think he did, then the second coming of Jesus Christ already took place, which I think is crazy. But hey, I'm not saying it, I'm showing it to you. Another thing about this, June 6th, on the crystal moon, June 6th, the planet Venus will move across the sun. The Venus transit happens in 2 stages, usually 8 years apart. Okay, what else happened on June 6th important to Webster? Here we have the arrest of Dawn Guyon, who was the woman who supplied Spengler through the straw purchase the guns. And when did she buy the guns? On June 6th, which by the way isn't just June 6th, it's 6/6, okay? And take this date and do the numerology on the whole date. 6 plus 6 is 12, 13, 14, 15, 5 plus 1 is 6, so the whole day is 6, so you got 6, 6, and the whole day is 6. Just to point that out. And this just goes on to say, you know, that Quetzalcoatl's coming. And actually, I'll tell you what, some of this is pretty cool what they say, but, you know, if this is the way he's coming, it's definitely not, that's not cool. But the prophecy says that the present world will be destroyed by movement or shaking of the earth, which is analogous to the change, in other words, unless we collectively shift our consciousness, the earth changes may be Mother Nature's last resort to wake up the collective consciousness that has been heedless of her subtler warnings. And that's not the one I was looking for, but... So now we've tied Quetzalcoatl to Venus. Now let's tie Quetzalcoatl to 6, 6, and 6. They say Quetzalcoatl was a prophet. He made his people pure, said one day he'd come back, and of that you can be sure. So the return of Quetzalcoatl, the Lord of the Dawn, okay? Venus is also known as, you know, the light bearer, Lucifer, the Lord of the Dawn. But I wanted to take you to more of the fourth category here, the magic of the sacred numbers. And the reason I wanted to bring it here is, of course, the prophetic date, you know, for the calendar, which I think is in the age of Aquarius. They're calling it the 6th sun year. Was December 21st, 2012, 3 days before, you know, the Christmas Eve tragedy here in Webster. Marked 104,000 year galactic spiral density. I'm not sure what all this means, but you're supposed to shift from mind to supermind and ascend of spiritual mental values over materialistic ones, which actually sounds good. And I think this is kind of happening. So, and I think this is why this is all coming to me. But anyway, I want to point out the 6s here and how important numbers are to all this. And once again, from the day following 22 December through end of 7 storm year, I don't know what that means, out of time 2013, there are exactly 216 days, and this is where it gets important. 6 is the number of the cube, and as the number 6 cubed, 666 equals 216, represents the frequency of the perfect cube. So there you have it. He's connected to Venus, he's connected to the 6, the 666, and everything that happened in Webster, you know, is all about this stuff.